We'll be translating verbal expressions into algebraic expressions, so there's some terms we need to know. The first one is sum. When you see the sum, that refers to addition. So when you see this word sum, it means we're going to be adding. Okay? Sum is the same thing as adding. So we read this. The sum of a number and 6. Makes sense. If you have a sum, you've got two things. So the two things we have is we've got a number and 6. Usually it's separated by that word and. Okay? So what do we call the number? Well, let's just use a variable. I'm going to use n for number. So we could write n. That's one part of the sum, and 6 is the other part of the sum. So that's how we would write the sum of a number and 6. What about the difference of a number and 2? Difference refers to subtraction. So when you see the word difference, it means we are subtracting. And again, notice it says of a number and 2. The two parts are separated by that word and. So whatever comes first, you'll put before the minus sign, and what comes after the word and is what you would subtract. That's how you would differentiate what goes first and what comes second. So again, let's just use n again to represent the number. It has to be a variable, and 2. So n minus 2 is how we would write the difference of a number and 2. Alright, next one. The product of a number and 5. Product means multiplication. So when you see the word product, you have to associate that with multiplying. We've got a number and 5. So how would we write a number and 5 multiplied together? Well, you could say n times 5, right? Often you would write this as 5 times n. And the most simplified way of writing it is, you know, when you have a dot between it and you have a variable and a number, you can just put it together and write it as 5n. Now, you could also put a parentheses around the n, or a parentheses around the 5, or a parentheses around both of them. There's more than these 3 ways to show a product, but 5n is probably the simplest way of writing this answer. So that would be the product of a number and 5. The last one will be the quotient, or ratio. Both of those words represent subtraction. Both quotient and ratio mean division, but we usually don't write the division sign when we are doing algebra. So a more common way of writing this answer, again, we're separating a number and 4, so those are the two things. You could, of course, say the number's n divided by 4. And it doesn't matter whether it says quotient or ratio. Both of them mean the same thing. That represents division. So whatever comes first goes before the division sign. So we have a number and 4. Those are the two things. I forgot to circle it up here. Here we go. So the more common way of writing this is as a fraction. So we say the quotient of a number divided by, we use the fraction bar, and 4. So this is the way we usually want to write our answers when we are doing algebra. So when we're working with variables. So we've got the sum of a number and 6 and plus 6. The difference of a number and 2 and minus 2. The product of a number and 5 is 5n. It looks funny to put n5. We always put the coefficient, the number part, in front of the variable. And the last is the quotient or the ratio of a number and 4. The way we write that is n over 4. So whatever comes first you put in the numerator, and what comes second and 4, that's what goes in the denominator. We'll be translating verbal expressions into algebra.